well, and I also trust that you had an amazing day. All right, we are going to start our lesson for today. And before we start our lesson for today, you are going to log into the A plus students.ca page. You log in with your username as well as your password. All right, so once you've logged in with your username as well as your password, you're going to select the subject of language arts. We scroll down to grade 7 because that's the subject that we are busy with. All right, so in our previous lesson, we did suffixes, right? And remember, we said it's a word is basically at the end of a or after a root word, right? So in today's lesson, or the chapter that we will be focusing on, is prefixes. All right, so once you clicked on the chapter of prefixes, the lessons for today is words with pre, words with re, words with sub, words with miss, right? And then before we continue with our lessons, we are going to also find out what the meaning of pre, re, sub, and miss is, right? All right, so we're going to click on the first lesson, which is words with pre. Okay, so a prefix can be added to the beginning of a base word to create a new word, right? So you can either say the base word or you can say a root word. So it's a word that can basically stand on its own, right? So a prefix can be added to the beginning of that word, the base word, to create a new word, right? So you create a new word as well as creating basically a new meaning, right? Because now the word is going to change. So knowing the meaning of a prefix can help you determine the meaning of a word, right? So if you, for example, know what the meaning of pre, then it will be easy for you to determine what the meaning is of a specific word, right? Is pre means before, right? So pre means before. So whatever base word pre will be um, added to, right? It will basically change the whole word, or it will basically just a new word, right? But knowing or keeping in mind that pre means before, right? It's either going to be um, whatever the meaning will be, it just know or keep in mind that it will be something to do with before, right? All right, so the prefix pre means before, right? This helps you determine that washing your hands frequently helps prevent a cold, right? So prevent, right? There we already have the word pre. There we can even underline the word pre. So prevent and prevent means to stop something before it happens, right? So to stop something before it happens. So which means that we need to wash our hands frequently, right? Before we get a cold or before we get ill or before we get sick, right? Because we usually put dirty hands or we put our hands in our face, in our mouths, right? And that is where we carry over germs. So prevent means to stop something before it happens. So washing your hands frequently will prevent you from getting a cold or getting sick, basically. All right, look at the other word, pre-built. Pre-built, right? Prefix means before. So pre-built. So this helps determine that pre-built shed is put together before you take it home, right? So a pre-built shed is put together before you take it home, which means that pre-built means built in advance, right? So they are already building it. So before you can collect it, or before it's delivered to you, or before you can get it, it is then built in advance, right? So by the time you pick it up, it will be done. It is pre-built. It's the same as, for example, buying a bird cage, right? You already bought a pre-built one, which means that you don't have to build a bird cage. Or, for example, a dog kennel, right? We usually buy one that is pre-built already, right? And it is already built in advance without us having to build a kennel on our own. So pre-built means built in advance before you take it home. All right. All right. So here we have another one. Which group predates the other? Right? So predates the other. Which group predates the other? Right? Remember we said pre means before, right? And this will help to determine that dinosaurs predate humans, right? And how do they predate humans? It says predate means to happen or exist before something else, right? Which means that dinosaurs, right, they existed before humans did, right? So dinosaurs predate humans. They existed before humans, right? That is predate, right? Something that existed before something else. Predate, right? And remember, we said pre means before, exists before, predate, happens before something else. All right. Why might you buy pre-made food? Pre-made food. Yes, the word pre-made. And we have the root word which is made, right? So made is stand on its own, but pre-made. Why might you buy pre-made before? Remember, pre means before. So why might you buy pre-made food, right? And we said before. Pre means before, and pre-made food, right? It means that you don't have to or want to cook it yourself. It's like going to a restaurant or going to a fast food restaurant, could be McDonald's or Subway or something, and you are getting takeouts, right? Because you would rather prefer buying food, right, that is already made than going home after either a long day or going home and still having to make or cook it yourself. So you buy pre-made, right? Maybe meat pre-made, maybe salads pre-made, something that is already pre-made, then you don't still have to go home and cook it yourself. That is pre-made, right? And something that is pre-made has already been prepared for you. You don't want to cook it yourself, or you don't have to because it's already pre-made or prepared for you. When would a group of people pre-screen a movie? Pre-screen. When would a group of people pre-screen a movie? All right. So basically, a group of people would pre-screen a movie or pre-screen a film before the movie or film has released to the public, right? So before it has been released to the public, they pre-screen or pre-film the movie, right? And usually, by pre-film the movie or the film, right? They usually let the cast or the producers or um, maybe like these famous people, they would usually watch the movies before it is on Netflix or wherever, like on our public screens, right? So pre-screen means to watch a movie before it is available to the general public, right? And like I say, usually the cast, the producers, the directors, sometimes the famous people and so on, they would like have a whole pre-screen viewing before it is in released to the general public, right? All right, so that is pre, right? So that is words with pre. Remember we said that pre means before, right? Pre means before. Okay, so now we're going to the little test. When would a group of people pre-screen a movie? Is it before the film is released to the public or is it after the film is released to the public? Pre screen. Pre screen, keeping in mind the meaning of pre. Is it before the film is released to the public or after the film is released to the public? All right, so we would then say it is before the film is released to the public because pre screen means before it is released to the general public, to the public. When might you see a view for a new television show? Is it after the show has been released or before the show has been released? A preview. Remember, we said that pre, only the word pre means before, right? So we're going to say before the show has been released, right? And earlier on in the lesson, we said that if you know what the word pre means, you will be able to determine what the meaning of the word is. Which of these is part of the pre-writing process? So pre-writing process, is it the research that is part of pre-writing process or editing is part of the pre-writing process? So before your actual writing, do you have to research or do you have to edit? This is now before you're writing. All right, remember before writing, we do research, right? Editing, we do after the writing. If you pre-arrange a meeting, when do you plan it? Pre-arrange. Do you plan something on the spot once you pre-arrange it, or you pre-arrange something, which means that you arrange it within, you know, basically in advance, way before the time. All right, so whenever we pre-arrange a meeting, we then plan it in advance. All right, on the spot is now. It's arranging something. It is not pre-arranged before the time. All right, we're going back, right? And before we continue, right, we said that prefixes are words or letters that are added at the beginning of a word to change the meaning, right? And then we said that the word pre means before. And here we also have a few examples like prepare, right? It's like to do something before you are either cooking or something, you are preparing it, right? I'm preparing a meal. So before I eat the meal, I need to prepare the meal, right? Here we have pre-mix, right? And what is pre-mix? Pre-mix is to mix before whatever, right? So if you have to mix something, then it means that you are now mixing it before, right? So it is mixing before. Pre-read, it's where you're reading, maybe like skipping and scanning, right? So pre-read a chapter before we come and read the actual chapter in class, for example, right? And then we have preview and pre-load is to load something before, view something, preview before, right? All right, the lesson on words with pre. Now we're going on to words with re. All right, so once again, a prefix can be added to the beginning word to create a new word, right? The meaning of a specific word, right? Like for example, re, right? So the prefix re, it means again, right? So you said earlier on, pre, right, means before. Re means again, right? Okay, we look at the sentence. Why would you rebalance something? So why would you rebalance something, right? We say that re, it means again. So why would you rebalance something? So if you want to rebalance something, then it basically just means that you would want to balance it again. Just like breaking up that word and just saying it in a different way. So rebalance is when you would like to basically balance something again. Rebalance means to balance again and to make it balanced again, right? So that is rebalance, to make something balance again. Why might you recheck your work on a test? Recheck. So if you are either writing a test, right, or you're doing an activity and you're going to get a mark for it, right? Why might you recheck your work on a test, right? So we recheck our work on a test, you know, because we either find mistakes or we want to make sure that there is no mistakes, or you want to make sure that all of the questions in, right? So now you recheck your work. And it says you might recheck your work on a test before you found any mistakes the time you checked it, right? So now it is ready to be handed in because it was rechecked. You checked it again, right? Recheck means to check it again. With whom might you reconnect? Reconnect. So re means again. Who might you reconnect? With who? Right? So we basically reconnect with people or with friends that we haven't seen in a very long time. Because reconnect means to connect again, right? Which means that you reconnect with people, or you reconnect with friends, reconnect with um, whoever, right? Or someone that you just haven't seen in a very long time. You are connecting with them again. That is basically what reconnect means. All right, but you redraw a graph. Redraw. Why might you draw a graph again? Sorry, because it means to draw again. Redraw means to draw again, right? So we might basically redraw a graph before the lines are either crooked or the lines is not straight, or we just did not, or we basically, let's say, we pick up any mistakes that we made, right? So now we either redraw it to eliminate the mistakes, or to make sure that the lines are not crooked, right? So now we redraw, we do it again. And why might you repack, right? Repack. Why might you repack the suitcase? So if you packed all of your things already, you are ready to go, or you have already packed everything and you are now just waiting, right? Remember we said re is again. So why might you repack a suitcase? And we might repack a suitcase because maybe it won't close, or it went beyond the weight limit, or we just realize that the weather has changed, so we either need to pack in new things, repack our things, right? But we mainly repack a suitcase because it maybe won't close. So we're taking out some things. Repack means to pack again. All right, so now we're going to test our little cells based on the words with re. So go to the test. Okay, so once we are in the test, right, the words with re. Which would you refreeze, right? So which would you refreeze, right? Is it ice cubes that are starting to melt? We refreeze it. Or water that you want to make to ice cubes? Remember, it's already frozen. We just want to freeze it again. Is it ice cubes that are starting to melt, or water that you want to make into ice cubes, right? So we will then choose the ice cubes that's starting to melt because they were already frozen, but now they're starting to melt, right? Now we're going to refreeze them, and that is to refreeze it. When might you reload a website? When might you reload a website? When it doesn't load properly, or when it loads successfully, right? Remember, we only reload when it doesn't load properly. Once it has loaded successfully, we don't have to reload it again and make a duplicate. Why might you recheck your work on a test? Because we found any mistakes the first time we checked it, or because time to finish it, right? So we basically recheck our work because we find mistakes the first time when you checked it, right? All right, so that is words re. And remember, we said that re means again, and pre means before. So now we're going to the third lesson, which is words with sub. Words with sub. All right. So sub means under. So sub means under, or sub means below, or sub means less than, right? So that is sub. And before we go on to sub, remember that we see that a prefix can be added to the beginning of a base word to create a new word, right? So sub means under, or sub means below, or sub even means less than. That is sub. All right, let's look at the first one. Which would subtract from the amount of your bank account? So which would subtract from the amount of your bank account, right? So remember, if you are paying either bills or you're going to shops to buy something with your bank card, right? Now it means that you are subtracting from your bank account, right? You are minusing. If something is $20, right, then it means, and you're paying $20 for it, you are minusing, subtracting, or taking away $20 from whatever amount that you had left, right? So this helps you to determine that paying a bill would subtract from your bank account. And subtraction or subtract, remove or to take away. All right, then we have submarine. Submarine. What can a submarine do that a regular boat can't? So, what can a submarine do that a regular boat can't? Right? Remember we said sub means under, or sub means below, or sub means less than. But in this case, the submarine, right? And usually we find the submarine under water, right? Which means that what can a submarine do that the regular boat can't, right? A submarine, it dives beneath the surface of the ocean. It goes underwater, right? Which a regular boat can't. Because a regular boat, once water gets inside the boat, right? Then the boat might go underwater, right? And whoever that's in the boat will then either drown. So a submarine is a ship that can go under water. Regular boats cannot go under. Sub-project. If a sub-project takes 2 weeks to complete, how long might the overall project take? All right, so sub-project, right? It says that a sub-project takes less time than the overall project. It's like a project that you do way before the big project, right? So sub-project takes less time than the overall project. So the overall project would take more than 2 weeks, right? So sub-project is basically part of a larger product. So we are just project, sorry. So we're doing a sub project there, and then eventually you will bring all that projects together and you will then complete the overall project. All right. So that is sub. Let's go back. Now we're going to words with miss. Words with miss. And the prefix miss, it means incorrectly or badly. So miss means incorrectly or badly. And a prefix is added to the beginning of a base word to create a new word. And knowing the meaning of a prefix can help you determine the meaning of a word. So the prefix miss, it means either incorrectly or it means badly. And an example is a student who was told Canada's estate has been mistaught. Taught, right? So who has been mistaught? A student who was told Canada is a state has been mistaught. So miss means taught incorrectly, right? So whoever told you that Canada is a state, that means that you have been mistaught, right? So miss means taught incorrectly. A student who has told Canada is a state. Mismanaged, right? Mismanaged. What is a mismanaged business more likely to do, right? So if you manage a company incorrectly, right, or badly, what's going to happen with the business, right? So mismanage, it helps you determine that mismanage is a business, or mismanaged business is more likely to fail. So if you don't manage something properly, then it is most likely to fail. So mismanaged means managed badly or incorrectly. All right, we're going to do the last one, mismatched. Mismatched. How do mismatched outfits look or items look? All right, so mismatched, it means matched incorrectly, right? It's like playing matchmaker and the relationship doesn't work out, right? You match them incorrectly, right? And remember, we said that miss, or the prefix miss, it means incorrectly or badly, right? So mismatched items look different from each other. This looks different from each other. Mismatched items. All right, we are going over to our test, right? Words with miss. Which advertisement for medicine would be misleading? So which advertisement for medicine would be misleading? Is it one that discusses only the benefits of medicine, or one that discusses benefits and side effects? That's misleading, right? All right, let's go to the first answer, right? So in misleading can where we show only the benefits or the good things about it. Who has been mistaught? Who has been mistaught? Is a student who was told Florida is a state, or a student who was told Canada is a state? Which results is misspent time. In which result in misspent time doing something important or doing something unnecessary. Misspent time. So misspent time is it doing something important or doing something unnecessary. Let's go with the first one, right? So we chose the first one, which is doing something important, right? So whenever you either make a mistake or it's incorrect, then you can go back to the tutorial page. Automatically takes you back to the tutorial page, and they will tell you or show you how you need to do it, right? And yet the prefix miss means incorrectly or bad, and this helps to determine that doing something unnecessarily results in spent time. All right. What are less likely to be misinterpreted? Misinterpreted. Is it unclear instructions or clear instructions? It's less likely to be misinterpreted. Is it unclear instructions or clear instructions? Right? All right. So we chose the second one, clear. We actually chose the first one, but they say clear instructions. So which are less likely to be misinterpreted? Unclear instructions or clear instructions, right? And here it says that clear instructions are less likely to be misinterpreted, right? All right. And we're going now to the next and last lesson, right? Okay, so now we're basically going to combine all of the lessons together under prefixes, right? And now we need to do, or we're going to do the lesson on words with un, dis, in, im, and non. All right, so here we have the prefixes, which is un, dis, in, im, and non. And usually this means not or the opposite of, right? So it either means not or it means the opposite of. So un, dis, in, im, or non usually means not or the opposite of. All right, like for example, if we look at this one example, which is inexpensive, which is inexpensive, means it is not or it is the opposite of. So something that is not expensive. And it says here, a wooden pencil is inexpensive, right? And inexpensive means it is not expensive at all. Which would be considered improper. Improper. All right. So something is improper, right? It's improper if you wipe your nose on your sleeve, right? That is really considered improper. So wiping your nose on your sleeve, that's improper. Then we have disloyal, disloyal, right? And this means not or the opposite of not, right? And this helps to determine that breaking a promise is disloyal. Disloyal is the opposite of loyal, meaning that you are not loyal. That's disloyal. Right? All right. Let us do the last test, right? Just one or two questions on the test. Which is inexpensive? Not expensive. Is it a diamond ring or a wooden pencil? Something that is not expensive. All right, so we say a wooden pencil is not expensive. Why might you take an indirect route? Because it has nice scenery or because you want to travel as quickly as possible. So, why would you take an indirect route? Because it has a nice scenery or because you want to travel as quick as possible. Indirect route, right? Because it has nice scenery. So, which activity is unnecessary? Eating food is unnecessary, or watching television is unnecessary. So, which activity is unnecessary? Eating food or watching television? All right, so watching TV is definitely unnecessary, right? And why would which would make impure? Which would make water impure? Is it adding ice to make the water impure? All right, so we said that chemicals will make the water impure. All right, so grade sevens, that is now the end of our lessons on suffixes. On prefix, sorry, on prefix, and we covered words with pre, words with re, words with sub, words with un, dis, in, and non, non, right? And these are all words that we put at the beginning of another word, right? And those are prefixes, before. So pre means before, right? All right, grade sevens. That is the end of our lesson on prefixes. I really hope that you had a good lesson. And then until next time, goodbye.